Welcome everyone to La Token VC TV. Today, Kyle, my good friend, is not available, so I'm gonna welcome everybody to the show and thank you for watching this episode of La Token VC TV, and thank you, Maria, for making this happen. Today's subject is investments in SaaS. This is actually a really interesting discussion. It's a very broad discussion, but for me it's very special because my first startup project was a SaaS project, and I think that it has a lot of future potential as we are walking into the 2020s. And yeah, we're gonna talk about SaaS and new technologies, new startups coming in this space, and also new opportunities that are related to SaaS projects. But before that, I want to actually turn to Harsh from our ventures. And maybe you introduce yourself. Yeah.
Sure. Thanks, Tolga, for the same. Just a short bio about myself. My name is Harsh Shetty. I'm a venture partner with our ventures. I'm also a founder of Startup Hackers, which is basically an early stage startup community where we are helping startups collaborate together, work together, support one another, and grow their business through mutual collaborations and references, essentially. We help startups raise funds all the way up to $10 million, primarily focusing in the Southeast Asian and the Middle East market, but we do have some mandate from Europe, US as well. So looking forward to connect with anyone, and I have a couple mandates in SaaS as well. So looking forward for an amazing discussion.
Great.
Great.
Thank you. Could you quiet your microphone?
I'm sorry.
Could you
silence? Yeah, sure.
Awesome. Because there's a delay in this voice, but anyways, thank you so much. I'm gonna make my own introduction, and after that maybe we can just start with talking about what's happening in the industry, what are the new really exciting SaaS projects. My background is I started as a designer developer, and I worked for companies like Spin Master, Electronic Arts, as well as multiple different interactive agencies in Los Angeles, digital agencies. And eventually I started my own company, Thunderbolt, in 2013. And my company made a very quick success. We built many different applications. Some of them are in SaaS space. And eventually I sold my company, Thunderbolt, to an investment company as a platform. I sold my company as a platform and to an investment company. And eventually we continued building that company under that investment company, and I was the CEO of that investment company. Eventually we took the investment company public in the Canadian Stock Exchange in 2019. And after that, I took some time off. I didn't work during the pandemic. Before that, I was traveling a little bit. I was seeing what's happening in the world. And in 2020, I realized that the greatest shift will happen in the automotive industry with electric vehicles coming into space. So I joined one of the most promising startups of 2021. It's called Loop, and Loop is a emerging EV charging network based in California, and we are one of the fastest growing EV charging networks. And it's very exciting because let's start the conversation about SaaS. Because our company, Loop, has a SaaS model too. SaaS is software as a service, and we are using our software and both hardware and software capabilities to offer a service for business owners and site owners, parking lot owners, restaurant owners, so they can actually install EV charging units to their parking lots and use our software, manage their income, and they can actually basically, traditionally speaking, own their own gas station by using our software. So this is basically what SaaS does. Allows software to be used by variety of companies, so they can actually generate a sustainable income using us as a service. So this is basically what the magic of these SaaS companies are. It was a revolution. I actually remember the first time this started happening. I think Uber was the big, like, greatest example of the first, like, great, SaaS model, because basically, disrupted the entire taxi industry, and they created their own fleet of contracting taxi drivers, and use their service to expand their incredible network of drivers all around the world. And this was an extremely big success. And 2012, 2013, people were trying to build Uber of everything. They were trying to build Uber of this, Uber of that. And during that time, actually, I was lucky enough to connect to the co-founders of um, the venture studio based in Hollywood. It was called Inclusive, and that's where we incubated actually our first SaaS project. I co-founded and designed Curbstand. Curbstand was one of the first valet payment solutions for hotels and restaurants, whoever owns a parking lot and uses a valet service could actually become a part of Curbstand's SaaS model. And Curbstand was basically a payment solution that allows people to not, when people don't have cash to give to valet, they always have to use the ATM to grab some cash so they can give it to the valet, right? And we built a mobile application, so it was a mobile payment solution for all valet companies, and it was an immediate success. We raised so much money, and it was Curbstand expanded into 7, 8 different markets in North America, and it expanded rapidly. It's still, Curbstand is probably the most prominent valet brand in LA. It was an immediate success. I mean, this is basically we're going to continue talking about this and my experience too. But I want to get back to Harsh, and maybe you can also like give me some your examples of your past stories about SaaS. I think the best thing is giving examples for people to really understand this, and also like understand that maybe the future potential of it too.
You're quite right about that. So, SaaS has been a really amazing opportunity. And if you look at the business model of how SaaS is structured, it becomes extremely efficient. It ensures guaranteed recurring revenue for businesses, and you don't have to kind of customize. Traditionally, if you look at software businesses, you had to custom build a software for a particular company. That's where those big tech consultancies like Accenture, KPMG, that's what they used to do. And now we have the SaaS model where even individual users can start using SaaS. So it's been an amazing evolution, right, of how original software used to be and how it is today. So I'm actually currently working, raising funds for a SaaS company in the automotive tech space. Essentially, what they're doing is they're digitizing automotive garages, helping them manage their entire business through that, through the software. Plus, additionally, they also have a CRM system. So essentially, they can manage the inventory, they can manage the customers, they can do follow-ups, they can run promotion. Is essentially anything that they want, they can manage it from that. So historically, it was restricted only to big garages, which used to have like 15, 20 employees, established company garages, which used to have these kind of software. Now this software which I'm working on, they've created for essentially it's a mobile application which anyone and everyone can use. So even small garages, which till date didn't have that kind of access, they have that kind of access now. And essentially, in most of the developed world, we have these smaller garages compared to these larger garages. So it opens up a huge market opportunity which was hitherto not there, and that is the true beauty of the SaaS model. Additionally, a couple of other SaaS companies which I do, have been associated with are a couple of marketing tech companies, right? So marketing tech, I don't need to tell over the last 10 years, it has gone the kind of evolution which has seen. Salesforce starting 20 years back and kind of gave the opportunity, and now we have HubSpot, ClickFunnels, and email automations, and all the kind of tools which are available in marketing automation. It's absolutely brilliant. So the two companies which I was working on, one is essentially focusing on, a video-based selling system for e-commerce companies and other high-order selling companies, and another company is focused on SMS automation to try and give you more detailed analytics of how SMS is operating and the kind of control that they're operating, right? So that is, it becomes so easy to manage your business and to manage your marketing campaigns with the help of these new tools, and you aggregate all of that and bring that under one dashboard, and you can manage the entire marketing campaign in a single platform. Otherwise, you have to have your analytics, Google analytics, you have to go at one place, Facebook analytics, you have to go at one place, email automation you have to manage somewhere else. It's a complete nightmare to kind of put them all together under a single platform, right? And that's what these amazing kind of companies that we've seen in the marketing tech SaaS space. In fact, before the call, we were also discussing in the EV SaaS space, right? The kind of opportunities which are there. In fact, one company just pitched me earlier this week, last week rather. How they are doing the EV SaaS space, where essentially they are kind of aggregating EV charging networks to the SaaS platform, where everyone can understand where the respective charging stations are, how they can manage it, and generally the experience has been that obviously your company is doing both, but most of the other companies who kind of do only the charging infrastructure side of it, for them trying to manage the SaaS side of it could be a huge complexity, right? So they, with this kind of company, they can completely outsource that and not have to worry about do that individually. Same goes for the housing societies and the parking lots, which you mentioned, right? They would not want to do the hassle of trying to build that themselves. They can simply white label it and make it more easier, accessible, and for everyone. So definitely the opportunities in SaaS are tremendous, and these are just 2, 3 examples which I gave right now.
Yes, I totally agree with you. And the opportunities continue in the SaaS space because software is obviously constantly improving, and new services emerge as new needs of people emerge. So that creates new SaaS models, and it's do you know like any really exciting startup that is in 2021, like very new SaaS startups that are really exciting?
Definitely, so it's gonna be different from company to company. So for some leads that are in US, it probably may not be as applicable to a market in India. So, but there are some interesting companies which are in the one company, they're offering legal as a service. Essentially, it's a SaaS net where they offer legal advice, legal whatever documents that you have. They're offering that as a service. So that's an interesting opportunity. Another company is what they are doing is venture debt as a service. Essentially, what that means is any company that's looking to raise debt, have these other financial maybe build this other POBs management. They create a SaaS model for that. Essentially, what that means is it simply goes to requirement management. And as and when you start to do finance, simply pay a small revenue share. Because interesting that you can see in India. One of the most promising elements in India is essentially trying to get small retail
It
businesses.
is really hard to hear you, by the way. It's very hard to hear, but maybe it's the computer, the microphone.
Is it better now?
It's better now, a little bit better. Yes.
I'll try to be a bit louder so that it's more audible. So basically, I was pointing out, India has like a huge retail market where there are millions of retail stores. Most of them are completely on retail with zero SaaS application. Right? So that is where the majority of the operation has, majority of the focus has been over. What these companies are doing is digitize these stores and stores can be opened so that we can manage the businesses, manage the finances online through these apps, right? Companies are used to just like the garage example which I mentioned, there are certain companies which are focusing on certain companies which are focusing on general store, which sell general products. So essentially, we have these sector-wise breakages, how they are operating, and other avenue which I am seeing, which are the providing support to small business. That is the biggest and the most lucrative opportunity, particularly in fintech space in India, how we can provide microfinance, like $1,000, $5,000, $10,000 to these small companies that to manage their business. Because most of these don't even have a credit rating or a credit history. That's why it becomes extremely difficult to provide them that kind of financing service. So this is a really interesting move which we are seeing in India.
Um, I mean, things are totally like different in different places all around the world. Um, give me one second. Um, excuse me. Sorry. I mean, I worked with actually a SaaS company in India, 2018. It was
It was
um, it was called Cropin, um, funded by Bill Gates and Bill Gates and Melinda Gates Foundation. They were building they're still building a very great infrastructure project for the the farming industry, and like pretty much digitalizing in the entire farming inventory logistics industry. I worked with that company for a while, advised them. They worked like side by side with their chief product officer. It was a very interesting experience because makes you understand, how still there's so many industries are in 1980s, yeah, in like 1990s, under digitalized. They still use physical stuff, not digital. They use papers. They use and this is not obviously not only in India. I mean, this is all around the world. There's still so much actually modernization, that digitalization that needs to take place, and SaaS makes this possible, because SaaS basically disrupts every under digitalized industry. um, I mean, there's that's why there are always new opportunities in different markets too. I think it's it's going to be very much more exciting, as we get into the crypto, EVs, this 2020s, new emerging markets. They're extremely exciting because uh, there are going to be different SaaS companies that are emerging with crypto, crypto models, the crypto companies. There are so many new SaaS companies obviously going to emerge in the EV market. We are one of them. Loop is one of them. I mean, it's that just shows that SaaS is like a waves of new disrupting technologies. They're constantly coming, in different forms and different models. But yeah, software is extremely important. Software is the future, and that's why building a software and selling it as a startup really creates a big opportunity for everybody in the world, and that attracts a lot of investments. I mean, our company attracts investments. There many SaaS companies are, um, if their model is working and proven, uh, they attract hundreds of millions of dollars of investments because once it starts working, it becomes a machine, and it really just eats the whole meal in on the plate. It's SaaS companies are extremely important, and I actually made like a small research on how much amount of investments are coming into SaaS in 2021, 2022. It's constantly a steady increasing amount, if you look at the institutional investments, and many like companies going public too. There's so many new SaaS companies are going public. Airbnb was one of them. Just went public last year. It was a huge with a huge valuation. I mean, these are you know examples of, I guess, how the industry is gonna continue to evolve and grow massively. The opportunities there. I mean, what do you think about the um, maybe the future of the SaaS industry? Like, how do you think that this industry is gonna grow in the next 10 to 15 years? How do you see
How
it?
do you see it?
Correct. So, as you kind of pointed out initially, right? Across the world, there are still so many sectors. They are still, they are still they still have to get digitized. They are still following very traditional paper pen models and to kind of maintain records, right? So that is the first step. Get them on the first system. Many of them are still using these old school ancient ERP solutions built on HTML, which actually doesn't make sense in today's day and age because they are painfully slow and painfully complex. We have we have these newer solutions which are far more efficient, and kind of moving on to that, that would be the first step right now. Kind of making it as simple as possible. And also, the growth in the SaaS industry is going to be there at least for the next 5 years, 5 to 10 years. It's constantly going to grow because there are still so many sectors which are there which still have to kind of evolve, right? So just the other day, I got a pitch from an African Nigeria-based company. They were into the fintech space, providing micro lending services, typically in the range of say $1,000, $2,000, $3,000, right? So I essentially told them that probably in India it may not be the right idea because we already have several companies doing that, and many of them have raised hundreds of millions of dollars. But in Africa, it is still at a very early stage, and for them, this is like a major improvement. So as we pointed out earlier, it's different from market to market. You need to have a kind of local understanding of what the market is to figure out what's relevant, and that is where most of the SaaS is going to focus on. It's going to be very hard to see a single global company working across all geographies. You had Uber, which did phenomenally well in US, but in most of the other economies it has been struggling. In Singapore, they were virtually kicked out by Grab. In India, they faced competition from Ola. In other countries, they faced regulatory issues and regulatory hurdles, right? So that's going to be there essentially. So it's going to create a lot of opportunities at a local level to kind of come up with local SaaS companies which understand the local flavor, what the people natively want, what the people natively require, because you can't have a single global company who's going to be running each and everything out there. So that is going to be one interesting trend which I see happening. Additionally, it's going to keep on growing. It's going to go to the next step. The next wave which additionally is happening is increasingly these companies are incorporating AI as well. They're adding a lot of predictive models over there to kind of ensure that it helps them build more efficiency, kind of predict the buying behavior, predict depending on the nature of the company. Obviously, if it is in the e-commerce space, they're trying to predict the buying behavior. Yep, if it's in the logistics space, they're trying to manage the supply chains, that are trying to predict the demand, etc., and what other things are required. So a lot of these things are involved as well. Right now, they are focusing primarily on AI, but additionally, so I was actually speaking to Raghu right now. Raghu is also frequent panelist over here. He was telling me that all this growth that is happening in SaaS is obviously there, But the most crucial element right now is going to be cybersecurity. The problem is, in all that growth that we focused on all the industries and segments, right? Cybersecurity is still woefully lacking, and we are constantly seeing big companies, big assets getting hacked, through cybersecurity hackers, and it poses a huge threat globally, not just for the companies, but even for the people who are using the software, right? So we are going to be seeing a lot of cybersecurity companies coming up with newer cybersecurity technologies to kind of ensure that data is kept safe, especially financial data is kept safe, because in today's day and age it's become so vulnerable. Pretty much everything is on the cloud, right? That's why cybersecurity, I believe, is going to be extremely crucial in the coming few years.
Yes, cybersecurity is. I mean, as the world is actually going into a warmer state in many aspects, um, cybersecurity is really important too for countries, governments, um, and for private companies too. Of course, even our company, we got like some spoofing, like that kind of stuff that recently happening. It's trying to steal people's information. Um, I mean, it's just crazy. It's crazy how they can succeed too, and make really a lot of money, um, because yeah, like if you breach a certain database, you can really steal all the information right away, and that's hundreds of or thousands of credit card information. You do the math, how much they can make. Anyway. Um, I mean, there are so many interesting companies. I mean, especially in the emerging markets. That really what I my area of expertise is always has been the emerging markets, and I mean there are in the EV space, there's so many like existing car brands that are new coming with their EV car models, but there are very interesting new electric vehicle car makers too. I mean, Tesla is one of them. It's a new car maker, but they started the revolution. But after Tesla, there's so many new car companies, EV car companies emerge as well, and there's a big building factories like all over. So many new companies building factories, and this just shows that there's so much actually appetite for new brands and new companies out there. So it's really really exciting. I'm really curious to see how this is gonna eventually emerge too. I mean, maybe you can just give us some closing thoughts, and tell people like how they can reach you, Harsh, and yeah, then I will probably finish the conversation. Thank you.
Sure. So definitely you're quite right, right? So emerging economies have a lot of opportunities. They are still not digitized, right? So there's a lot of opportunity in terms of expanding. In the EV space, so we did, if you look at last decade, we did have EV company, we did have electric vehicles. Toyota had come up with their model, but no one really liked that, right? It was Tesla which kind of created a successful model and made it cool. Essentially, kind of what Steve Jobs did with the iPhone. We had the iPhones, we had the iPads, and similar models which were released in the past, but it never really got the customer adoption. For Steve Jobs, he came up with the iPhone, and people just flocked to it, and that kind of provided the template. Same thing has happened with Tesla, where Tesla has kind of created the template, and we are seeing these EV companies coming up with new cars, new car companies, etc. But to be quite honest, it's obviously a good business to be in. But I actually see the focus, it's going to be the EV infrastructure and the EV SaaS companies, which is going to be the real cash cows, because essentially, as a company, they'll always have to compete, trying to create the best product and all is going to be there. But if you're the infrastructure provider, there's literally no competition, right? Companies can come and go, products can come and go, but the infrastructure, the importance of that is always going to remain. So it's going to be a global opportunity in the EV space per that regard. So quite agree with you on that, and how the EV space is evolving. Additionally, there are a lot of SaaS companies coming in the clean tech space as well and green tech space as well, focusing on try to kind of ensure that how we can kind of make it more economical and make it more sustainable in solar energy generation and the other tools as well, right? So a lot of interesting developments are happening and looking forward to see all the progress that is happening. So and great to be a part of this panel. And if anyone wants to reach out to me, they can connect me on LinkedIn at Harsh Shetia. I'm always available for a discussion. Need any help, feel free to reach out to me. I'd be happy to discuss. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Um, okay, so I guess this is it, and thank you so much for listening to another Latokum VC podcast, and hopefully next time with Kyle, we're all gonna be talking about new things in the emerging markets and in the technology and cryptocurrencies. Thank you so much.
Thanks.